All praises to the Most High. Okay, family, so this is actually part three.
Including their solidarity with enslaved Africans.
Well, the whole vision of the film is based in changing totally the point of view of who is telling the story. And in particular, because this story not only center from Europe, but also center in the bottom or in the middle of the United States of America, I had to start the film from that particular point of view of this woman who is the head of her tribe, of her nation, and basically, the Seminole have been one of the rare tribes who were never really, who did not really obey to the enforcement of leaving their territories. And they were called the invisible tribe for a reason. So it was important for me to start it from a point of resistance, from a point of an individual, of a woman, and watching this invader basically telling her to leave her land and to deliver the slaves that were, of course, that's a story that is not really well known, that a lot of slaves who escaped were welcomed by Seminoles and other tribes. And I wanted to start with that symbolic moment of resistance and also of solidarity, and from there deploy the whole rest of the story.
Well, Raul, that is in one of the forms of continuity that you point to. The story of Native Americans is absolutely critical, and the erasure of this genocidal history, in particular in the United States, is evidenced, as you show, in the perverse use of Native American names and designations for military weapons, from Black Hawk to Apache, as well as military operations, the most recent and proximate of which was the May 2011 operation named Geronimo to assassinate Osama bin Laden. So could you talk a little bit more about that, the way in which Native American history has been distorted, if not entirely erased, and the uses to which it's been put in contemporary U.S. Politics?
Well, it's clear that, and you see that throughout the film through different type of device or type of stories, level of stories in the film, is how everything is somehow connected. The history of the Native American, which is for me the core story, whether it has been pushed out and erased sometimes or told the wrong way, it's like a phantom. It's already there. You can't get rid of it. There are so many skeletons in those boxes that they come up, and there are more and more coming out, and it's ironic that the very powerful U.S. Army, who was basically at its core created not only to fight the British at the beginning, but after independence, it was basically used to kill Indians and to keep slaves, black slaves, on the plantations. So basically, the U.S. Army at the beginning was the militia. So this story continue. It's basically a story of 200 years, which is in the whole history of humankind is nothing. So as long or you can try to repress that story, but it's coming out there. As long as there will be Native American or there will be blacks alive, they will continue to tell that story. There is no escape from it. And that's why what I was saying at the beginning, when you see people like Rick Santorum saying that Well, when we came, there was nobody on this land. What did you do with the 100 million people? You have to explain that. It's really it becomes more and more absurd that Republican leadership at that level are capable of such ignorance. It's mind reading. So it's for me, it's just the logic of the whole story, and that's what we try to explain and to tell in this story of Exterminate All the Brute. And I really, my objective is really to make sure that that kind of ignorance cannot be voiced anymore.
Raul, another.
Then they exploited, of course, our people. In the first actually part to this, I said that it was something to be a part of our affliction. I don't understand it completely, because the lighter you are or were, especially back in those days, to white, you would be considered this a part of this grouping that separate from the dark skinned people. And I must say, I truly believe that was a part of our afflictions, that this is how the Most High lined it up, and he did it for a reason. Because our melanated people that were here before Christopher Columbus, so many ways without them probably understanding what happened, and our people intermingle with lighter people, and then they become a different, what you would say, breed per se, or different, type of looking people. They knew that they still had the bloodline of these people, but they took our story, and these people circle around them by them being light, which they call the Native Indians, not calling them the Native Americans. You understand? So the Native Americans, which of this land, which was Turtle Island, were dark melanated people. So you could say that our history of ones being here before was whitewash. But the people who are claiming this, they do have lineage linked to us because of the bloodline, because of the intermingling. So I'm not sure why they're not even trying to tell their story of where their roots come from. I know some of them say they link back to Africa, but no, let's go a little step closer. What about linking to the people that were on this land, and they're lighter people, Asian type people that came and mingled with our people? That's the way how I understand it, family. If I'm wrong, please bring it to my attention and say no, because Christopher Columbus, even in his memoir, said that when he came upon or came near, or however the situation was, that there were black holes all over the island, well, the beaches and whatnot. Well, the black holes were representing black people. And we could see that some Indians that they call Indians, the reason why they got the name is because he was set out to go to India. So they just end up calling that, that bracket of people Indian, just to hide the truth of who already been here. So I'm not sure why, because the Native Americans are, the Native Indians, as they go further down their lineage, they see that the people were dark, even with the straight hair. They were dark skinned, but they had, a different type of hair texture, because by the time of the intermingling, that's what I'm understanding, family. If I'm wrong, please bring it to my attention, because there are a lot of people that looks to be African and from the continent who claim no, they're not. They were told that they were Indian, but they're thinking that, they're Indian because they intermingle with the Indians themselves because they were trying to get away from slavery. No, it's the other way around. So that story need to be told by the Indians who are the lighter version. They need to tell a story truly about their past, about who were darker in their past as well, in their history as well. That seemed to me escape the truth. It's like they don't own up to it. That's what I getting. Okay, so let's continue.
Other possible form of repression, another idea that has been repressed, is something that Sven Lindqvist, in his extraordinary book, Exterminate All the Brutes, from which your film substantially draws, he shows how closely intertwined the idea of progress is with racism and even genocide. And in the film, you explain Darwin's central, if unintended, role in providing scientific validation for racial prejudice and hierarchies with his notion of natural selection, saying, in fact, that genocide came to be regarded as the inevitable byproduct of progress. You show in the film as well the iconic late 19th century painting by John Gast titled American Progress. But of course, this idea of progress remains central to the way in which global society and American society are organized. What alternatives do you see to this ideology, and where do you see it, if at all, taking shape?
Well, it's a very complicated question to answer, and I don't really go by that way in assessing what the future will be or what are the solutions. I think any solution will first have to start with the real story. We need to sit down around the same table and
Hello.
agree on the diagnostic. We
Nothing
have
but the
to
Most High.
agree on the genocide. We have to
Yes.
agree in the whole line of history that's been going on for more than 700 years. Otherwise, there is no conversation possible. So I am not, and we are not, if I can speak for many others, it's not about, revenge. It's not about, it's about, let's see the world as it is, and let's name, all the things that happen and had bring us to what the world is today. That's what it is about. It's not about, your showing how culprit you are or not. It's about acknowledging the past and the present, because they are strongly connected. So for me, is the same thing as democracy. As long as we accept democracy as our mode of communication, if we want to come out of that situation, it's implied that we have to sit down and have a real conversation, an honest conversation. But unfortunately, we see that the dominant narrative is not ready for that. They are
They ain't gonna have a
the back
choice
on the wall
soon.
and can't let go